Russell Findlay.
Thank you, President Officer. Peter Murrell stole at least £400,000 from the SNP, and he simply couldn't have done this without the protection of his wife, Nicola Sturgeon, and his childhood friend, John Swinney. During this crime spree, the SNP was in receipt of more than £10 million of taxpayers' money. I don't know if Stephen Flynn's cheering me on or heckling me. He's probably cheering me on, keeping his eye on the prize. Last week, John Swinney told me that no public money had been stolen. But Mr Swinney also spent years denying the disappearance of ring-fenced independence funds until yesterday, when he suddenly changed his story. So is John Swinney still 100% sure that Peter Murrell didn't get his sticky fingers on any public money?
First Minister.
I stand by the comments that I made last week to Russell Findlay. He may have noticed a quote from the Electoral Commission last week, who said that the SNP receive policy development grants as set out in law. Parties have to report on their use of the grant and have that grant expenditure independently audited. The Commission checks carefully that the grant is spent correctly. The SNP have provided those audits. We've checked them and we've seen no evidence of misuse of policy development grant funds. If there is evidence of any misuse, the Commission will take appropriate action to safeguard public money. Now, those are the words of the Independent Electoral Commission. The police have carried out an extensive investigation and have found nothing to substantiate the abuse that has come from Russell Findlay today. And all I would say to Russell Findlay, as he's complaining about Stephen Flynn barracking him, and he's just barracking me. So I suggest that Mr Findlay should learn some lessons from what he's gone on about in his contributions. But let me just say this to Russell Findlay. Russell Findlay has spent years coming here, abusing me, denigrating...
Excuse me, let's hear the First Minister respond. And Mr Russell, you shouldn't heckle a question you yourself have asked when someone's trying to answer it. First Minister.
Denigrating my personal integrity and my personal reputation. And I would just point Mr Findlay to the outcome of the election, where the people of my constituency had the opportunity to reject me, having listened to everything that Russell Findlay and everything that his sidekick piled out about me in my constituency, and the Conservatives took another hammering in Perthshire North, not for the first time, for the 7th time in this Parliament. So people don't listen to Russell Findlay and the Tories.
Russell Findlay.
Dearie me, what a performance of crocodile tears. That was so sad. The SNP treat taxpayers with the same contempt that they treat their own members. Former accountant Alistair Cameron joined the SNP in the 1960s, before half that lot were even born, and he donated money for years to your party. He passed away a few months ago at the age of 89. His daughter Susan told me this morning that he would have felt not only betrayed by Peter Murrell's theft, but betrayed by those who didn't stop Peter Murrell, who facilitated and enabled his crime spree. And John Swinney has spent years defending every single indefensible SNP scandal, but all he has in response to the seedy crime spree is angry, fake deflection. John Swinney and Nicola Sturgeon's complex web of stories are
You have a question,
unravelling.
please.
Does John Swinney not realise that his leadership is also unravelling because of his central role in this scandal?
Your fingerprints are all over it.
First Minister.
What an absolutely pathetic spectacle to bring to Parliament. My leadership was on the line on the general election on the 7th of May it was paraded by every one of my political rivals. Mr Sawar, Mr Findlay, week after week, questioning my integrity, so it was on the line. And the people of Scotland sent me in here to lead this country, to lead this government. I lead it with privilege and with pride, and I'll always serve the people of Scotland. And Mr Sawar and Mr Findlay will always remain on the back benches, sent out there with a ringing message from the people of Scotland. They're not listening to either of them.
Alex Cole-Hamilton.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I think perhaps, Presiding Officer, the most regrettable aspect of this whole sorry saga around the SNP finances is the erosion of public trust and faith in politics it creates. There are still big unanswered questions around all of this. That is why we need a parliamentary inquiry, but the government are blocking it, just like they've blocked other measures to challenge bad behaviour. For 10 years, Westminster has given people the right to sack criminal or corrupt MPs. It removed the likes of Margaret Ferrier when she endangered lives during COVID. We could have had that here in Holyrood, but the SNP blocked it just 3 months ago. Why doesn't John Swinney think that people should be able to have the right to sack their MSPs when there is proven misconduct?
First Minister.
That's not my position, because just last week, I think, I answered, or maybe it was earlier on this week, I answered a question from Mr Simpson in the course of the last week, in which he asked, would the government bring forward proposals, or would the government cooperate on the formulation of proposals in relation to recall legislation? And I gave Mr Simpson a positive answer. It's an issue that I think that the government is prepared to contribute to this process. I've a debate in my mind about whether it's appropriate for the government to bring forward proposals that affects the status of elected members of Parliament. I'd much rather those proposals come from within Parliament. But if it would be helpful, I would certainly bring forward proposals to enact a workable recall mechanism, because I think it is important that the people have the opportunity to recall members of Parliament who behave inappropriately. So I hope that helps to contribute to Mr Cole-Hamilton's evaluation of how we make progress on these questions, because I want to make sure the highest standards are applied at all times, which is what I do.
Alex Cole-Hamilton.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Presiding Officer, I heard these same warm noises from John Swinney in the last Parliament, when there was a live bill in front of this chamber which would have given effect to these proposals. He had the votes to deliver it across the line, yet he instructed them to vote against it. Recall provides a solution for when things go wrong, but we can do more to ensure that the right people are in politics to begin with. As a former youth worker, I've twice tried to change the law so that elected representatives are subject to the basic safeguarding checks around working with children and vulnerable adults. But again, the SNP government has blocked progress on this. It is time to remove bad actors from public life. I can't believe the First Minister ever wants to go through any of this again. So will he stop standing in the way of efforts to clean up our politics?
First Minister.
Can I respectfully say to Mr Cole-Hamilton that it would help if, once I've given an answer to his question, he could perhaps change the script of what he then was going on to say, because he just ignored everything I said about recall and could have engaged in some substantive discussion about how we might take forward recall legislation. Because the issue about the recall legislation in the last Parliament was it was unworkable. And the government can't allow unworkable legislation to go forward. So I'm very happy to engage on this question, but I would respectfully encourage Mr Cole-Hamilton to do likewise. Now, on the issue of PVG checks, I'm very happy to consider it. I don't want bad actors to be operating anywhere in relation to our public services, and I extend that into members of Parliament. So if he wants to advance on this question, he should take a leaf out of the book of Mr Rennie, his next-door neighbour, who suggested the other day that there was opportunities for us to make progress on shared objectives. I encourage Mr Rennie to counsel his colleague next door to him. Give him some more of the constructive advice that Mr Rennie is always sharing with me. I make it clear, I'm not on a mission to destroy Mr Rennie's career. I'm only here to support him and to encourage good outcomes for the people of Scotland.